Vault Veritas SCP Files. Episode 42 Absence. Incident Report 4518-2. Second known incident report involving SCP-4518, colloquially known as the Retroactive Reaper. Object Class: Safe. Risk Assessment Level: Low. Reported by D7359, also known as Lakshmi Doshi. Report made August 25th, 2022. You promised me amnestics. Do I really have to write this all out first? I'm not trying to fight the process. I swear I'm not. I just want this feeling to stop. I don't know if amnestics can actually erase it, but they're my last hope. It's like I'm not even alive anymore. Not in any way that matters. I lost some part of me back in that tunnel. It took something from me. Something important. Something I can't replace. And the worst part is, I can't shake the thought. Over and over, it's in my head. It wasn't supposed to be me. I wasn't supposed to come back. It wasn't supposed to take her. Susan and I have been together for years, long before we got arrested and ended up here, sharing a Foundation cell. We used to work as private investigators, mostly taking on small-time jobs. You know, cheating spouses, money disputes, the occasional stolen property. But every so often, we'd get a missing persons case. Those were always hard. I never knew what to say to the families. I'd always trip over my words. But Susan, she had this way of talking to people. This calm, steady presence that made people believe everything was going to be okay. It's strange. I owed her so much that when we started taking the risky cases, the ones with people who wouldn't hesitate to turn on you, I just followed along. She was the brave one. She was the one who knew what we were doing. Even after we'd fallen in deep with the wrong crowd and were headed towards a cell, even then, I always stuck by her side. So when the Foundation tagged us to investigate SCP-4518, it just felt like fate. All the work we'd done before had led us here. The posters, the missing kids. It wasn't just another assignment. It felt personal. SCP-4518 is a narrow tunnel passageway which appears at the end of the old Holloway Boardwalk in San Francisco, California. The Foundation has built this impressive fence to keep away curious civilians. Barbed wire, heavy padlocks, big red warning signs. It's pretty effective, though they get the occasional hooligan with a pair of bolt cutters trying to break in, so there's a guard stationed to keep a watchful eye. When Susan and I arrived, the guard barely looked at us. He handed over the key, gave a curt nod, and motioned us through as though we were no more than annoying distractions. I remember the air changing the moment we crossed the fence line, becoming somehow heavier, like we were stepping into a thick, unseen fog. When we stepped into the tunnel, we gave ourselves a moment for our eyes to adjust to the dim lights that lined the ceiling. They flickered eerily, shining only enough for us to see a few feet ahead, which gave the illusion of the tunnel stretching endlessly away. Lining the walls were pages upon pages of missing persons posters, all of them children no older than 12. The paper was faded and yellowed with age, each one a story of desperation and loss, frozen in time. These were just the start of what we'd come here for, the first pieces of evidence we needed to unravel their mystery. Susan wasted no time. She marched up to the first of the posters, her eyes already scanning for any detail that might give us a clue. I, on the other hand, hesitated. My mind was supposed to be on the case, supposed to be looking for any hint, any trace of where these children might have gone. But all I could do was stare at the first poster and just wonder. Lucy Braum, age 8. Her picture was so vivid in its simplicity. Dark brown curls cascading down her shoulders, a grin so wide and starkly happy it seemed surreal in this dark place. But it was those eyes that latched on to me. Dark, almost too intense for a child. They seemed to follow me as I read and wondered. A heaviness started to settle in my chest. What happened to you, Lucy? Where did you go? There was a sharp gasp behind me, followed by the sudden clatter of the video camera Susan had been holding, dropping to the floor. I turned around, confused, as she demanded to know what I had just said. I was certain I hadn't spoken, so I told her as much, but she continued insisting she'd heard something. Slightly annoyed, I opened my mouth to tell her that she must have imagined it. After all, I had just been silently scanning the poster while she was the one making noise. But then, I heard it too. We both froze. A chill swept through my muscles. Down the tunnel, just beyond where our eyes strained to pierce the darkness, came a whisper, so faint, so ethereal, that it barely registered. We couldn't even begin to make out the words, but it didn't matter. The pleading tone, the way it seemed to crawl beneath our skin. That was enough. As if in a trance, Susan began to walk towards the whisper, her steps slow and deliberate. I wanted to stop her, to warn her away, but something held me back. The idea of interrupting whatever was calling to us, it seemed wrong. It felt like tempting fate in a way I couldn't quite explain. So I followed her, and together we crept deeper into the tunnel, stepping warily past one faded poster after another. The whisper never grew closer, nor did it fade. It simply hovered, an insistent pull, coaxing us deeper into the unknown. It felt like a siren song, something ancient, calling us towards the truth we sought. It was Susan, of course, who first noticed it. The way the children's eyes were following us. I wish she hadn't said anything. I think that's when it all began. Up until that moment, it was just an eerie whisper in the dark, unsettling, but manageable. But when she pointed it out, when she acknowledged that every poster, every child's gaze, was locked onto us, following our every move, that's when the memories started to rise. They came in flashes, vivid, jarring images and sounds. His mother, sobbing, clutching the missing persons poster to her chest. The crinkle of paper as we put up our own posters in vain. The officer's derisive snorts as he dismissed us, muttering "nobodies" under his breath while we tried to gather what little information we could. Susan could hear and see it all, too. I could see her whipping about in front of me, her face paling as the same haunting voice echoed through the air. The lights above us flickered, then fizzled, plunging us into an oppressive darkness. Panic shot through me, rooting me to the spot. For a moment, I thought we were going to be left here, in this ruined tunnel, lost in the sorrow of others for all eternity. When the lights finally sputtered back to life, SCP-4518-1 had appeared. We had been briefed on what to expect, but no amount of dry details droned at us could have prepared us for the real thing. It was a spectral entity, a child, intangible and undefined. I could see it floating there, plain as day, but I could not tell you the figure's age, sex, gender, or ethnicity. It simply was. An ethereal, shimmering presence with enormous, unblinking eyes that seemed to stare right through us, judging, weighing. I stood frozen, paralyzed by a deep, heavy guilt that outweighed even my fear. My mind seemed to lock up, thoughts slipping away as I stared at the shimmering ghost. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even breathe. But Susan, brave, resolute Susan, was the first to break the silence. With unsettling calm, she managed to form a rather ordinary greeting, as though meeting a stranger or calmly deliberating a case. The ghost twisted the shimmer of its mouth into something resembling a thin, unsettling smile. "Hello. You two. You're here," it said, softly, knowingly. Susan's voice cut through the stillness, demanding to know where the children were, what this thing knew, what it had done to them. The entity swayed slightly, rocking back almost as though it were laughing at Susan's words. I did nothing," it said hollowly. "Follow me. I'll show you what I know." The ghost turned and began to float slowly down the tunnel, its odd, gentle sway hypnotic and unnatural. The gnawing fear clutching my chest threatened to paralyze me, every fiber of my being screaming at me to stay behind. But Susan straightened her frame and stepped forward, determined. I had no choice but to follow. The tunnel stretched endlessly, the air stale and cold. My quick, shallow breaths echoed as loudly as our footsteps in this suffocating silence. The many pleading eyes of the missing children tracked our every movement, silent and accusing. The entity spoke again. "You claim to have come here for the truth, but I find the truth is so often skewed, isn't it? So easily covered up." From the yawning dark of the cave ahead came a cry. A little boy, pleading for our help, begging us to save him in huge, rasping breaths. The entity felt us freeze and stopped as well, hovering in place. Its huge, judging eyes turned to us, and I was filled with a sudden understanding that made me feel impossibly small. "Jacob cries for you. You remember him, don't you?" My heart thudded in my chest, almost loud enough to drown out Jacob's cries. Susan's entire body spasmed as though she'd been slapped. We both stayed silent. "You were supposed to find him. His family begged you. They trusted you." I wanted to defend myself, to say that we'd done everything we could, that we really had searched. But the lie lay on my tongue so heavily it could not escape my lips. "You found him. You knew right where he was, who he was with. After all, the men he was with had killed before, and the reward just kept ticking up and up and up. You stalled for time, dragged it out, knowing the longer it took, the more you'd make. Did you ever once stop to wonder how much time he had left? I tried again to protest. A non-violent offender. We'd really thought. We had never dreamed. I could see Susan out of the corner of my eye, fighting to get the words out as well. But they seemed to die on our lips. There were no excuses here, and the ghost didn't wait for them. Follow me. It turned once again, this time to the left. There, on the wall, a markedly different poster hung. Stark white and unsettlingly empty. No child's name, no photograph, no details. Just a blank rectangle hidden in the dark amidst the missing children. Susan and I looked at each other with dawning realization. One of us was not making it out of the tunnel. My breath caught in my throat, and for one awful moment, I felt certain it would be me. It should have been me. I knew it. I knew it then, and I know it now. I was the one who took the case. I was the one who pushed for dragging it out. I was the one who had calculated the growing reward and urged Susan to wait it out. Let it grow. He can wait. He'll be fine. The ghost fixed its eyes on me. It knew. For a moment, the briefest moment, a slight smile crept onto its passive face. It knew. And it knew that I knew. The poster felt so right. A fitting and just punishment. I would be at home here, amongst the missing, amongst the dead. And then it grabbed Susan. I don't remember running, but I do remember the screams. I remember the laughter of the entity and of Jacob echoing down the halls as the children whispered at me to run. Run faster. There's no escape. I remember trying to tear down the posters and weeping when my fingernails only scratched the concrete of the walls. I remember breaking out into daylight at last. At least, I think I remember that. I'm here, aren't I? I think I'm here. But But food has no taste, and water does not satisfy, and I cannot sleep, and I hear the screams. The screams and the laughter. I cannot feel anymore. There's nothing but the terror, the guilt. I cannot feel the warmth of the sun, nor enjoy the smell of the fresh air. And Susan isn't around anymore to comfort me. She's gone. She's gone, and it wasn't meant to be her. It was meant to be me. And sometimes, just sometimes, when I pass by a mirror or a reflective glass, I see not my reflection, but a blank and empty poster, sitting patiently, waiting. And I wonder if I didn't really make it out after all. I didn't like that. Not that I like many of them, I suppose. The database notes that Lakshmi is still alive. Alive and continuing her duties as a D-class. Since her skills as a private investigator make her a valuable prisoner, she has been allowed to see her site's therapist many, many times following this report. Although, her therapist notes that treatment has been entirely ineffective. Susan's D-Class designation appears on the list of SCP-4518's casualties. Further investigation into SCP-4518 and the missing children has been permanently suspended. There is one final note attached to this report that interests me. It is a supplemental entry from one of the guards stationed at SCP-4518's entrance. He writes that at exactly 4:17 p.m. each night, the time when Ms. Dashi was documented fleeing the tunnel, a woman's voice can be heard, distant and echoing. She calls out, over and over, from deep within the darkness, pleading for her lost partner to finally return.
Vault Veritas SCP Files is a podcast inspired by the SCP Foundation. Absence is based on SCP-4518 by Stoner99 from the SCP Wiki located at scp-wiki.com/SCP-4518. It is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike 3.0 unported license. This episode featured Justin Gellner as Scott Anderson. It was written and edited by Leola Angel. We welcome comments. Please rate and review us. Email us at vaultveritas@gmail.com. Join our Discord channel using the link in the episode description. Visit us at Blue Sky. Or for additional content, visit our Patreon. Thanks for listening.